Okay, this is Aaron again with Exalted Lamb 1, and I'm going to give you a Migrant Caravan update, and I'm going to use two different clips from two different YouTube channels. One is from Edge of Wonder, and they're going to interview a guy that was a former FBI agent that has a lot of different intel. His name is John D'Souza, and so you need to hear the intel and the understanding that he has on this migrant caravan and what's really going on behind the scenes with this whole false flag migrant caravan thing. So, and then the next clip I'm going to show is from a guy named Alex Bachman with CR News. Now, he's a Central American reporter. Again, CR News has almost 1 million subscribers. They're very credible. I've been following them for a little while now. And he has a real unique perspective because he's on the ground. He was just recently in Tijuana with the basically the Mexican protesters that were peaceful protesters. They're protesting these migrants that were coming into Mexico and going to the border, and they were not who they said they were. And so he talks about that. Now, ahead of time, I want to say that some of these people that are talking, they think that Trump, for example, and QAnon or Q plus, they call them maybe the conservative side or, the opposition to the deep state. Now, I don't believe for 1 minute that that there is a good conservative side. Now, there are people in general that are conservative that are good, absolutely. But as far as the organized leadership, this is basically a fabrication of a lie, of a ruse, of a double cross, of a flim flam. It's like being a double agent with multiple countries. It is completely a ruse. This is not. This has been proven. I've proven in iPad Goat where Trump is shown as one of the figures behind Lily, as one of the 12 figures behind Lily in iPad Goat, in different places where Trump is shown years before he became president. He's also shown in The Simpsons and several things of predictive programming. I have a video about Trump, 60 years of predictive programming that you should check out. Go back on my channel and you'll see Trump's face on the front of it. And 60 years of predictive programming with Trump. I mean, we're talking about Back to the Future movies. I mean, all kinds of stuff where Trump is, this is all predictive program. Trump is not the good guy. He is playing a part. And remember, if you didn't know, Trump is inducted in the Hall of Fame of the WWE. Are you kidding me? Wrestling? Check it out. He was in the WWE. I mean, he's an actor. He was in The Apprentice. I mean, all kinds of things. And so he's not on your side. He is an actor like all these other world leaders on the world stage. So I want to just preface that first and then mention that if you this is the first time you've seen any of my videos, I have a lot of information about what's coming on the east and west coast, these giant tsunamis that are pre-planned by the Luciferian elites. And that information is on a lot of my videos, including iPad Goat 2 Solved, parts 1, 2, and 3, and also iPad Goat 2 Solved Supporting Evidence. I have the countdown. I have several things, different videos, and there's one of those last ones called Light It Up Black Friday, and other things where it shows and gives evidence, even going back several videos, even from those, on these pre-planned tsunamis, mega tsunamis that are going to start really soon. So this is all coordinated timing with this caravan, these tsunamis that are going to come, probably martial law very soon at some point, and that all coordinates with some of these other videos I've been sharing. So without further ado, I'm going to show you a couple of these videos. And, I want you to get the information in front of you. Now, I can't verify all this stuff, so I'm just reporting what I'm seeing, and you decide. You decide what is, and you can look into any of this stuff yourself if you like. But it's very interesting information, and some of this stuff's right on the ground about what's actually going on, and not like what the media says, which is mostly a lie. Here we go.
Okay, so hey everyone. everybody. Welcome to Edge of Wonder. We're here with John D'Souza at Disclosure Fest, and we have an opportunity here to ask him a few questions coming off of Above Majestic, which is really exciting. And John, how has the reaction to Above Majestic been since it published?
It's been amazing. It's number one documentary on all streaming services across the board, number one documentary in the country right now. And the response has been amazing, and it's really brought forward to people, to a new audience, a lot of these realities that we discuss all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really opening up a whole new world for a lot of people. So we're really happy about that.
Okay, so one of the biggest questions I have is, you actually, in Above Majestic, you talked a lot about finance and the cabal, right? And I'd kind of like to hear a little bit more about that. So the financial institutions are connected to the cabal. How are they connected to the cabal? Why is this danger? And what else would you like our audience to know about that?
I want the audience to know that whenever they see like these big anti-American activities going on, like let's say these mobs that suddenly appear, out protesting American institutions or whatever, or protesting people in general, unruly, violent mobs, or you see unruly, violent squads of people coming to our border. All of those activities are financed by your money through the central banks, because the central banks have all the money. They are the dynasties that have all the money. George Soros and all of these dynasties, they have that money, and they have unlimited funds to finance these mobs that are attacking our borders right now. Each one of those people, they have to pay them $7,000, every single person. And that's just to start.
So hold on one second. So you're saying basically that, so that these mobs, the people coming over are actually, it's like a psyop, what you're saying, right? Like they're trying to get all these people over?
It is like a military invasion, pretending to be an organic social activity where all of these people suddenly decided they don't want to be in their countries, and now they want to be in America because of economic conditions. That's all theater. That's all theater. This is a well-financed attack, asymmetrical attack against the United States, financed by George Soros and all of the NGOs that have our money through the central banks. And they have this operation. People are estimating conservatively that this whole operation, this alien invasion against our borders, had to cost conservatively maybe $200 million. If you include the buses, they're using luxury buses.
Jeez.
I mean, there's these luxury models of buses that are like $500,000 each. And it's enormous costs involved with this. It's incredible, and people need to know that we are all paying for that through the central banks. That's why the nationalist forces are getting ready to throw off the central banks very soon, and that's something that's way overdue.
So like what would that be? Like what groups, what's working against this system, the cabal that's been set up for, I mean, probably now like 150 years. So talk a little bit more about like the group that's working against this to try to,
the groups that are working against this, that are, for instance, right now, the Fed is raising interest rates when there's absolutely no reason to.
Right.
They're doing that as a direct attack against Trump and Putin and all the nationalist forces that have gotten together and are working to throw off the cabal. And so they're doing shenanigans in the stock market also, at a time when that shouldn't be existing. They're trying to strike back against the nationalist forces. And of course, at the tip of those nationalist forces is Donald Trump. He is the top guy in that group. But there's many, many others. There's leaders in Austria, there's leaders in Europe even, that are taking over from the globalists. And these groups, these people are all working together, and they're working towards a reset of the central banks to get rid of them. And that stuff is so complex that we don't even know what it's going to look like when they do this reset, but it is coming.
Okay, well, pass the baton here. So I have a good question for you, actually. Q Plus recently posted about Whitaker thanking Sessions for basically all of his work and all of that. I kind of wanted you to just drop a little bit about what's going on with that. Tell us a little bit about it.
There's been a lot of evidence because of context that Q Plus is actually Donald J. Trump. All right, and you'd have to just look at the context and really go deep into it to see what that's all about. But it really looks like Q Plus, which is a separate entity from Q, is actually Donald Trump. And Donald Trump just dropped after Sessions' resignation and all that, the theater that he fired Sessions and he did all that, there was a drop from Q Plus that said, to Sessions, that said, "Thank you for your service. We will not forget your sacrifice," which is a really weird thing to say to somebody that you just fired, supposedly.
Right.
And so it really looks like this whole firing of Sessions and bringing in this provisional attorney general was all a theater, and that Sessions has been doing a service somehow by resigning himself, what do you call that, recusing himself from the prosecutions and laying low and now being fired in humiliation. It looks like he's probably going to be brought back later, maybe as the judge of the military tribunals that are ultimately going to be prosecuting these sons of that we all know in the cabal.
So
boom.
Yeah.
So I just wrote a post on our blog on edgeofwonder.nyc, actually, just specifically about this, talking about Jeff Sessions and bringing in Whitaker. Now, from my understanding, Trump wanted the deep state and the public to like Sessions. Right. Now it's like, let's bring in this young guy, and he has like his photo on his Twitter site, like lifting like weights that's like twice my weight. From my understanding, this is what happened with the protest then, because it's like you're bringing this younger guy in who looks like he's just gonna go Rambo style, and then I saw this quote that said, "This guy hates Hillary more than you do." So it's like, wow.
Yeah, it looks increasingly like this was all an elaborate setup, and Whitaker is being put in specifically because he's not a political appointee or even a political figure. They can't do anything against him. He's just a temporary appointee, and yet the guy's a bulldog, and it's possible that he has been brought in to clean house with the drops of the sealed subpoenas during this entire period, even connected to the military tribunals. And that's what it looks like right now.
Well, actually, I think we can end it right now because John is actually on one of the tables, right? He's getting ready to speak in front of everyone. So we're going to call it here, but we really appreciate your time, John. Really love having you around. And come anytime, come on the show.
Is the greatest. They are the best at what they do, bar none. Edge of Wonder are the best there is. No one better. No one
so
better.
much, man.
Actually, yes. Guys, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Until next time,
we'll see you out
on the edge.
Okay, so now, like I said, I don't subscribe to the complete story about Trump and the people that are on that side with Putin and all that. I think it's all a ruse. These people are buying it hook, line, and sinker that are on this side. And again, it's for the purpose of having conservatives and people against the liberals to pull back and say, oh, they got this. And then when it all blows up and Trump gets assassinated or whatever, then they're going to be so shocked, and everything, the proverbial rug is going to be pulled out from under their feet, and they're going to just get steamrolled over. So this is all a big plan of the global elites, I believe, as I've shown in evidence, all kinds of ways. So these guys even here believe that, but I wanted to show you what even some of them, the evidence they have of what the Migrant Caravan is really about. So you can see that. Now I'm going to go to the next one here. Okay, now we have CR News with Alex Beckman, and I'm going to play him here.
Hi everyone, this is a quick update in English about the Marabunta Migratoria, which is the term we're using now, hashtagging it everywhere. Marabunta means an invasion of the ants, okay? When they swarm into a town and destroy everything in their wake. Well, right now, Mexico is being swarmed by illegals from Central America and other nations across the world, Bangladesh, the Middle East. We don't know what comes in the mix, but it's getting worse. I was there on the ground last Sunday in Tijuana, reporting the facts, reporting what was really going on, live streaming. And as I was live streaming, I could clearly see, that the other news organizations that were there were just taking notes, gathering video and some shots and doing some interviews in order to just publish something that obviously projected that the protesters were violent, they were against the police in riot gear and so on, and that was not true. It was really a peaceful protest. People were really protesting in a peaceful manner, but in a strong, vocal manner, which is very different. People are upset in Tijuana. The real people of Tijuana are upset of an illegal invasion that has put Tijuana in the crosshairs of a full-fledged invasion by George Soros and company. Okay? This is what's really going on. Yesterday, last night, early in the morning, the Department of Homeland Security and the Customs Border Patrol had to close the border in San Isidro and Tijuana. We already said it was gonna happen. It's gonna happen again and again and again. They had to reinforce the border because they have information that they were gonna storm the border, and this is true. We've heard it all over the place. They want to storm through the border. Once they get to 10,000 strong or 30,000 or how many strong they want to be. Okay? So Marines rushed, Semper Fi, Marines rushed in to lay this razor wire, the barbed wire, and also in riot gear, the CBP officers and U.S. military police also stretch across the port of entry, hardening the point of entry in order to prevent, an onslaught of illegals that were organizing. Now, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirsten Nielsen, that's the correct pronunciation in Swedish, said they received intelligence that the caravan members were massing overnight and plotting an attempt to gang rush the San Isidro and Otay Mesa ports of entry. That's what they're planning. That's why they have them in shelters in Otay. And get this, they have them in shelters in Otay with little coupons, these little, similar to the EBTs in the States. And they're giving them these electronic bank transfer cards where they can go to Carl's Jr. freely and go get their food because they don't like our beans and tortillas. Okay? They say beans are for pigs. So they're insulting our cuisine, they're insulting our way of life, they're insulting and overstepping our border. Okay? They already burnt the Mexican flag down in Honduras, I'm being told. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's getting worse. Just today, this morning, 800 more are arriving through Mexicali into Tijuana. Right now, what we have is 6,000 in Tijuana right now. When the governor of Baja California, Francisco Vega de la Madrid, a pusillanimous coward, said that there was only enough space for 1,200, and now there's 6,000 overtaking Tijuana. Tijuana is being overtaken by illegal immigrants that should not be here. The president, Enrique Peña Nieto, basically is not doing his job. He's not commanding military to go and block the southern border in Chiapas. So basically with Guatemala, and basically what we have is a void in power. The power structure in Mexico is gone. They're just expecting AMLO to take power on the 1st of December. And he promised to just move along, starting December 1st, let bygones be bygones. He's going to forget all the corruption in the past and start anew. That's what he said. So he's not going after previous corrupted officials. No, he's starting fresh, So he's giving them an opportunity to be forgiven. That sounds like amnesty and a deal he struck with all the power establishment in Mexico, in my opinion. Anyway, so we got 6,000. Now, all the caravans that got dispersed all over the country, some are in Veracruz, Puebla, women abandoning their children. They're not even their children. Turns out they're all fake families. They formed these families down in Honduras in order to make us believe that they are real families. The women are not even the mothers of those children. There's like maybe 150 children that are abandoned within the caravans. Nobody wants them. Do you think a mother who is fleeing her country to seek refugee status with no reason whatsoever for doing it, by the way, because they're not in a state of war, okay? But anyway, they're fleeing, okay? Leaves their children behind? That's not even a mother. It's obviously somebody that was paid and bought for to make it look that they have families in the mix. Anyway, they have drugs. They procured weapons down in Mexico City. We know they're carrying weapons. Their weapons hot. They got the Glocks and they got AR-15s. That's human on the ground, by the way. And of all the caravans that have dispersed in order to confuse us, you know how many are everywhere in Jalisco, and they're going to take them to Nayarit, where Nayarit was destroyed by Hurricane Willa, by the way, and totally destroyed Nayarit. There's 180,000 families affected. 100,000 of those have no home whatsoever. They have no food, no clothes, no shelter, nothing. But the Mexican government is feeding the illegal aliens. This is obviously a very, very well-planned conspiracy from the left in order to destroy Mexico and destroy the southern border of Mexico with Guatemala, and also at the same time the U.S. border with Mexico. So the U.S. media, I was there on the ground, the U.S. media and some other media outlets try to make this that there was a violent protest in Tijuana against illegals. It was not violent. They were attacked. A female came and started punching and fighting against some of the protesters that were there. She was arrested, and that's all that really happened. The rest was just shouts and slurs and a lot of patriots fighting for Mexico. Now, and demanding that the Constitution be respected and the Mexican federal immigration law be respected. Another thing that was interesting is that we saw AMLO's militia there, okay? So it turns out AMLO does have his own private army that was gonna take over Mexico with guns if he didn't win the presidency back in July. So there you go. That's very interesting piece of information right there. The other thing is that this is not gonna end well for either you, America, or for us. And we need action. We need you to guide us and tell us what to do. Your comments are very, very welcome right now. Your comments are welcome. Please comment below. Subscribe to the channel. Support us. We cannot do this without you. For CR News in Mexico, Alex Backman.
Okay, so that was Alex Backman, and he has a lot of information. He knows what he's talking about, and he was there. So I just want to leave you with that, and you decide about this information. Just more information to get in front of you so you know what's going on. Certainly the mainstream media is not going to give you the actual story because they're going to tell you about what they want you to believe based on their cover story and their purposes. So I just want to give you real information and a real update on the Migrant Caravan. This is Exalted Lamb 1, over and out.